is going to be a big one to tackle. Hey guys, it's Ollie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today we're going to be talking about why you should not release your pet snails into the wild. I get this question a lot. It is highly advised that you do not release your snails into the wild, and I am finally going to put out a whole video, hopefully clearly explaining why. It's a little confusing, it's a little complicated. So some disclaimers, because it's a snail videos and we always have to have disclaimers. This is about garden snails. This is based in the US. This is based on US law as well. So if I talk about any laws, it is for the US. Disclaimer number 2 is I am in no means an expert in this or in snails in general or anything like that. This is a hobby that I keep the snails, and I'm just trying to give you guys a bunch of information, yada yada yada, my typical spiel. And going along with that, always do your own research. Don't just take my word for it, because sometimes I can be wrong too. I am a human. Alright, so we're just gonna jump right into it. I definitely hold the stance that it is in very rare circumstance that you should ever replace any kind of pet, including a pet garden snail, into the wild, whether it was captive bred or not. That might sound a little extreme, but let me explain a little bit. Now, one of the obvious reasons that you don't want to release snails is that if they are not native to your area, you shouldn't release them anyway. You don't want invasive species, you know? And even if you got a snail from outside, doesn't necessarily mean it's native. Most of the time it does, don't get me wrong. But unless you're completely sure, I wouldn't risk it. So why can't we release non-invasive snails? If you are in the US and you are a snail keeper, at this point you may know about these very strict laws we have on snails. For example, we cannot have giant African land snails, and we cannot ship snails across state lines. It's a lot. So a lot of the laws depend on your state, but most of them also state that you can't release your pet snails. It can do a ton of ecological and economical damage. If you want to know your personal laws, you can look that up on the DNR. If there's not enough information on their website, you feel free to call. They will answer your questions. So one of the reasons you would not want to release your pet snails into the wild is the same reason you want to quarantine new pets when you get them. They can pick things up here from us, from other animals and things like that, and they can distribute that to the wild population, and you don't want that. Depending on your state law, I think ours is 2 weeks if they haven't been around other pets. I think it's like if you've only had them for a couple weeks to maybe a month. I have to update. I've never really had to use this information, but that you can release them at that point. But especially if they have been around other snails or other animals that you have in the house, I would not recommend releasing that snail. Another thing is that snails can destroy crops, and that is another reason we have big laws around it. It's like the typical issue is if you have too many snails, their food source will kind of start dying out. And that's supposed to kind of regulate populations, if you know about all of that. Like, if you have foxes and rabbit populations, and the foxes get too heavy in population, they'll predate the rabbits a lot more until there's not a lot of rabbits, and then the fox will kind of start dying off, and the rabbits will get bigger. It's like a cycle, you know? That can happen with snails. However, we also need those crops, and it would devastate a lot more than just some rabbits. So since they eat so much and they can pretty much eat anything they want to, that means that it can devastate the wildlife even in your yard, and you just don't want to do that. Captive bred snails, including eggs that you might put outside that your snails inside laid, among the other reasons I just gave, shouldn't be released for the fact that they can introduce other genetic material into the wild population. So they can affect the makeup of the wild population, and again, you don't want to do that. So in short, I know this video is a bit on the shorter side, but in short, you don't want to cause more competition for the wild population of snails. You don't want to cause any ecological harm as well. Things like that. So if you've only kept it for a couple days and you got it from like your backyard, you can probably put it back out. So what should you do if you have some unwanted snails? Now, if you have eggs, you have a couple options. Your options are to cull. I do have a video all about culling. It's very sad. In my opinion, it's very sad. It's not something I enjoy doing, but is sometimes necessary if you don't want to keep those babies and you don't have a home for them. That does bring us to our second point, is that there are people that may be willing to adopt the snails. Keep in mind the legality of shipping. Sometimes you can even ask pet stores. I've never had to try, but you might call and see if they'll take it, see if anyone there wants it. You can put a post out on some Facebook groups maybe. Now, I did find a snail rescue here in the States that I will link down below. I think it's Starlight Snail Rescue. I'm really sorry. I found it today. Like, I was looking things up for snails for some videos. I think that they are based in Tennessee. And like I said, I will link them down in the description below. And you can, if you need to rehome your snail, maybe try reaching out. I don't know for sure that they would accept it or anything like that, but it would be worth a shot. Maybe they can direct you somewhere that will take them, yada yada, you know. Well, I know this was a bit of a short one, but that is kind of all I got for you. It was a pretty straightforward answer, and I just wanted to make sure I got that to you. It's also going to make it easier in the future for me to just point people to this video instead of having to explain it time after time of why you can't release your snails. I really hope that you found this video helpful in some way, or at very least entertaining. Don't forget to follow me over on Instagram. The link is down in the description below, as well as my art account where I do digital custom pet pictures. Commissions are open, links in the description below. I also do have a Facebook group where we can have advice, share photos, things like that. It is Ollie Exotics, Thriving Over Surviving. Links also in the description below. Don't forget to give this video a like for the algorithm. Comment down below what kind of snails you got, because I'm always curious of what you guys have going on. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you're into this kind of content, or really any animal kind of content. I upload every single Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but you can hit the bell if you don't want to remember that. And as always, I will see you guys next week. Bye!